I'm Jonny Smith.
I'm Richard Porter.
And this is Smith & Sniff, a podcast in which two friends talk about cars and many other things. Now listen, guys, look. Here. Right. Been accused of the last podcast, the one that involved some chat about Julio Iglesias. Few people have mentioned that it might have got a bit too Julio Iglesias, okay? And politely, a couple of people did talk to me at the recent PistonHeads event and say, yeah, it didn't have a lot of car detail in that one. So I just want to first say sorry about that extended Julio content. And in my hand, I have a copy of Autocar. So to quickly balance it, I just wanted to tell you that Mercedes are going to be continuing, because of demand, the A-Class until 2028. Okay?
I didn't know that.
The new Citroen C5 Aircross is going to be 30 grand, and it's the flagship, the SUV, the Aircross, and it's going to be going to have a hybrid, or you can get an EV with 207 horses. It's entirely up to you.
30 grand?
Yeah.
I don't want to sound like a sleeve, but that sounds quite cheap. Cars these days are expensive.
Yeah. Starts at 30,400. That gets you the 143 horsepower hybrid, and then it goes up to it goes up to 39 grand if you want the really high trim level of the EV, I think.
But do you find these days you'll sort of go, oh, I wonder what a mid-range Kia Ceed costs, and it turns out that it's 30 grand. I'm not sure if that is true. I should probably look this up. But you know, it's also in a world where like a Golf GTI, always my benchmark for what things cost for some reason. And Golf GTI is what, 40 grand car now?
Golf R's 50,000.
Yeah. And when you get into the Audis,
Civic Type R is 50,000.
Well, pour one out for Civic Type R, because that's it, isn't it? It's going.
Mm. I know, I've got a friend, sweet guy who sells prestige cars for a living, high down, and he recently took delivery of his brand new Civic Type R, because although he sells things like Astons and Koenigsegg's all week, he said, I just think this is it. I've got to do it. If I don't do it now, it'll never happen. So he's got himself a immaculate box fresh championship white Civic R. And I said, I don't think you're going to be disappointed with that. I think it's a very, very enjoyable package of a car.
Well, I don't think... Did I talk on the podcast about the week I had with a Civic Type R? Quite recently, this year, because I had never driven the new shape one. I know you'd said to me, oh, it's brilliant.
Yeah, I think you mentioned, because you only had one small gripe about it, which was the
overspeed warning binger that's now mandatory or mandatory, depending on how you want it, is the only car I've driven to date where you absolutely cannot turn it off at all.
That is sad.
If it worked perfectly and you're complaining about it, then, well, you're breaking the speed limit. You don't really have a leg to stand on, unfortunately. But they don't work properly. And the one of the Honda doesn't work properly. They misread signs. They misunderstand where you are. And so it'll start binging. I mean, a classic one is, they're just slow on the uptake. So you come out of a 30 zone through a village onto a national speed limit road. Particularly in a car like that, you probably bang it down a gear or two and off you go. But the car is still playing catch up. And it's bang, bang, bang. You're like, no, I'm not breaking the law. I'm accelerating up to 60, but you still think it's a 30. And it's that kind of annoyance. And the binging was annoying because it's meant to be, but actually counterintuitive, because eventually you tune it out. I double checked with Honda, and there is no way on that car to turn it off.
I think when it's 1 mile an hour over the speed limit, which is, in my view, a sort of grey area, is the speedo being real and honest, or is it just my interpretation of the speedo? I think then there should be an easy listening sound that just kind of goes, look, you are over, but I'm not going to go for the full bong yet.
Yeah.
All right, the bong will come if you keep persisting in being disobedient. But up until this point, I'm just going to do something else. You're like a cat leaning on a synthesizer really gently.
You want keep the change mode, don't
you?
Yes. You know, I had my haircut the other day at the barber in town. It's 18 quid. Well, I've got a £20 note because they're cash only. And it's the 2 quid is easy. I'm sure that's sort of why they do it. Yeah. And so it's keep the change, mate. But you want
change, mate.
72 on the motorway. Keep the change, mate.
Yeah.
I'm not going to bing at you.
It's like a friendly, old-school policeman. Do you know why I've pulled you over? Yes, I think I was speeding a bit, officer. You were actually, but because you've admitted it and you don't seem like a complete night sleeve valve, I'm going to just say, please don't do it again, and also check your tyre pressures because the one on the near side looks soft. All right?
The only thing, and this, I think I read about this because I did a lot of Googling about how to turn off the speed warning in a Civic Type R before finding that you can't. I double checked with Honda, and they said no, you can't. It seems like the binger only came in last year, so you could buy a second-hand outgoing shape Civic Type R and enjoy it without the sometimes incorrect binging.
Yeah.
I didn't tell you about. So I've driven a few cars in the past few weeks that I haven't really mentioned. One of them. This is pertinent to another podcast. I was on the Top Dead Centre podcast, Cream, a couple of months ago, and I was talking to them about this car that was haunting me around the streets of Bath because I couldn't identify what it was, and I thought it was something new from China that I'd just not been paying attention to. Finally figured out, it's got a very Jeep-like grille, but it wasn't a Jeep. And the DRLs look a bit sort of Land Rover shaped, definitely not a Land Rover, and it really confused me until I found out it was a KGM Torres. Have you seen these? KGM is what used to be SsangYong, so it's not Chinese, it's South Korean.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So then curiosity got the better of me, and I booked in a KGM Torres because I'd mentioned it to the Sunday Times, and they said, yeah, do us a review of it. And it's a very old school car because although it's quite new, it came out last year, but nobody seemed to notice. It looks, it sort of seems superficially modern, and inside it's got a big screen, so it's a modern car. But weirdly, it's got a separate chassis still. So it's quite old school, yeah. And you can get a fully electric one, but the one I borrowed is the petrol. It's a 1.5 turbo. No hybrid system, no electricity-ness at all. It is just an old-school petrol, separate chassis SUV.
So is it the replacement for the Corando?
Not really, no. SsangYong or KGM have this surprisingly large range now, which is odd because they are one of the lowest-selling car makes in Britain. Well, they were last year anyway. Perhaps that'll change now. They've got more cars. But, yeah, they're sort of bobbing along the bottom, selling like 1,000, 2,000 cars a year here, along with like DS and Alfa Romeo and all the other people who are doing tragically badly. But
so some of those deserve to be doing bad.
Well, exactly, yeah. It's like you just go, you're architects of your own failure here. But KGM seem plucky, like they're trying their best. And this Torres, actually, I found it quite likeable, almost because it's so sort of old school.
Simple.
I mean,
yeah,
it doesn't feel really sort of separate chassis-y. It's only sometimes it gets a bit wandery, but otherwise it's fine. And actually it sort of feels quite tough. Like it's got this, the way it rides bumps, the ride's not particularly smooth, but it just feels like it's sort of got an unbreakableness to it. And yeah, I actually sort of quite liked it in a weird kind of way. And then the only thing that was not to my taste, and again couldn't get the speed limit entirely right all the time, is the speed bonger, which was so loud and urgent. So the first time it goes off, you're convinced that someone's got like a missile trained at you or something. It sounds like you're on a fucking submarine. Herp, herp, herp. Oh my God, what's happening? And it's just because it thinks you're in a 20 zone, but you're not.
Do you know what? I'm intrigued now. I think I'm going to have to put one in. But the only thing is whenever you mention the name, it makes me think of welcome to KGM Torres, late night radio.
Yes.
Just okay. We're going to be playing some Lynyrd Skynyrd, and then we'll go straight into some Bon Jovi.
Those American radio stations, they are always KYZDX, and there is a system apparently. Depending on where in the United States it is, the code that KZWAYJ
really?
thing is yeah. There's some system, and I can't remember. I read about it once, and I don't know how it works.
It's like the American football rule book. It's only about 200 people understand it.
Jeez, why have they stopped this time? Because I only stopped 5 seconds ago. Oh no, they stopped again. Good. Oh, now because they've stopped this time so that they can advertise some luridly coloured drink to us, right? I get it.
Well, I've just popped onto the KGM Motors website because that's what we do.
Do you see all the cars they make now?
Yeah, well, I am looking at their new vehicle lineup. Yeah, but I before I talk about that, I quickly clicked Torres, £36,700 on the road, and it says unexpected adventure, bold, rugged, confident. Torres has been designed from the ground up for your next adventure. With its three-dimensional headlights and daytime running lights, LED rear lights, and spare wheel cover-inspired tailgate, it looks like every bit like the authentic SUV. Double 12.3-inch displays, 1,662 load space, mood lighting, and 1.5-ton towing limit. But there's some logos. And next to 1.5-ton towing limit, let's just say it looks like someone's had an industrial weight dropped on their penis. You have to look at this image to understand. It looks like a large scale weight has been dropped on a cock.
Right.
Okay.
Hang on. Where am I going? See, here I am on the KGM. It's like a freaking KGM advert. People, but it's not.
This is
where am I looking?
KGM
oh, I
Torres.
see. Right. Yes. Okay. Yes.
Listen to KGM Torres. We've got a caller on. Caller number one.
Because they're quite proud of the fact this car has a 1.5-ton towing limit, but I don't think that's amazing for the size of car. I mean, its engine's not massive.
Doesn't seem high, but doesn't seem high. That's okay for average caravans.
Yeah,
I think.
I mean, considering it's got a separate chassis, you'd think it might be a little bit better than equivalent monocoque.
It's got a frowning face, like it's like a transformer robot. You know when they bend down and lean into the human to listen carefully.
What to go? I will destroy you.
That's right. Just before they do that, that's what the Torres looks like.
Yeah, I don't find it a bad looking thing. It's sort of it's kind of generic in places, but overall it's quite handsome. And in fact, I was driving it and I happened to have a coffee with a mate of ours, and he came back to the car park with me as we were leaving to get in his car, saw what I was getting into and went, "What's that?" Which everyone does because nobody's heard of a KGM Torres. No. And I showed him around it and he was really impressed with it, which I was quite surprised because he's a car person of sorts. And so, he knows a bit about cars and he didn't go, ugh, just generic SUV nonsense. The one thing about the design that is terrible is that the rear number plate is very, very slightly offset. Not even full Disco 5. It just looks like it's been put on badly, but actually...
What, like BMW E12 exhaust, kind of?
Yes, exactly. We just commit. Either go fully offset or central. Don't do this half-assed nonsense. Yeah, it's really weird. It's because there's a fake spare wheel bulge in the tailgate that's nothing to do with the spare wheel, and then the handle is offset to make it look like a side hinge tailgate. Actually, it's top hinger because it's powered. Yeah. And so the plate sort of then has been slightly knocked off to the left to make all this work, and it makes your eye twitch. Otherwise, no, it's weirdly, it's one of those cars we just go, I didn't even know what it was when I saw one, and now I do know what it is, and actually it's sort of all right, and I can't really add any more than that.
Also in Autocar, just in case we start talking about Julio Iglesias, I don't know about you, Rich, but we were busy at Goodwood Festival of Speed, FOS.
Yeah.
And didn't see that Toyota had on display their fuel cell Hilux concept. And their fuel cell Hilux, it has a bare chassis on display, so it showed where all the hydrogen packaging was. And I'm annoyed because I would have liked to have seen that, but we didn't. And so that's that. But there's some details of it in Autocar. It's got a range of 373 miles, I think. Got 3 hydrogen pressured vessels, each vessel carrying 2.6 kilos of gassy gas.
Yeah, and there's now one place in Britain where you can refuel it.
I just want to throw that little reminder out to all the people that shout at me for thinking that EVs are quite a good idea, and that they say that hydrogen's coming and I'll wait for that. Okay, here's the score. I drove a hydrogen-powered Mercedes in California in about 2008, and it was fine. It was just fine, okay? But there was one place to fill it up, and bearing in mind the NHS is broken and local councils haven't even got the money to fill in potholes, why would we then invest in putting hydrogen filling stations everywhere in the whole country, especially near houses where they are essentially large bombs? It's not going to happen. It's going to be for depot fill, vans and fleet trucks, and that is it. And we need to just stop pretending that it's going to be anything other than.
I know, it's because the people who tend to go on about hydrogen being the future are the people who sort of gleefully seize upon a story of an electric car catching fire and go, see, they're dangerous. And you're like, are they more dangerous than moving around a famously quite hard to handle liquid such as hydrogen? Because I don't know about you, but yeah, hydrogen tankers all over the roads of Britain. That's going to be fine. I mean, obviously it can be made safe, but it's very expensive and complicated to do so. When people wang on about hydrogen should be the future, not electricity, I think they're forgetting that most hydrogen cars are, in fact, electric cars. They're just using an onboard generator that runs on hydrogen. I think these people are confusing this with, you can just run an internal combustion engine on hydrogen. That Alpine concept that was at Goodwood does that. But that is not the way in which those car manufacturers that are still pursuing hydrogen R&D are generally thinking. They are thinking it's a fuel cell that generates electricity, that powers electric motors. So you're getting the same experience. I don't know where these people think that the advantage is, except that it's using a harder to transport and distribute fuel source. The end result is broadly the same. I think they're just wedded to the idea of having a highly flammable liquid on board with them and their children.
I think it's just convenient for them to say that because it throws the bone further away. And because those people are the same people who, if that new hydrogen car costs more than 14,000 quid, they'll be like, nah, that's ridiculous. I'm keeping my car that I've already got.
Yeah.
So they're not exactly going to be feeding the economy of the automotive industry, are they?
It's sort of like those people who have an absolute thrombo about the way that Jaguar is going and then go, I can't believe it, they want to get back to being proper Jaguars. How many Jags have you bought? None. Ever. Anyway, we digress.
We've talked about cars for 19 minutes.
I'm going to carry on talking about cars as well, because I haven't talked about the Morgan Supersport, what I drove last month.
Oh, yeah.
Which was delightful.
Was it?
In a number of ways. Yeah. I mean, it's funny because I don't have a great experience of driving old Morgans, but I've read enough about them to know that, for one thing, they always famously had an extremely hard ride. The Supersport, in those terms, has a very decent ride, but it is, for my taste, still quite sort of jiggly. But the chassis itself is good. You know, it's quite agile because it's light. You know, it's a really light car, and as a result of that, you can really sort of chuck it around. Plus, you get that sensation of your arse being right on the rear axle, but then the front axle being quite far away. So just the way that the car sort of turns and pivots is actually not like anything else. Yeah. But because it's 1,170 kilos curb weight.
So for a modern car, that's featherweight.
It's really light.
Yeah.
And it's got the 3-litre twin-turbo BMW straight 6 in it, which is 335 horsepower. So it gets a clip-on, and it's attached to that ZF 8-speed auto box, which loads of people use, which is very good. I mentioned this to a mate of mine. He was like, don't they do a manual? I was like, no, they don't, because just like Ferrari and BMW and actually increasingly Porsche these days, they're finding that no one orders a manual when they offer it. Relatively few people do. So for this, it just wasn't worth the extra effort to engineer one. But because the car has that sort of light, anyone who's ever driven like an Alpine A110 is a great case in point. There's a sort of weird sensation of sort of like frictionlessness to the way it gathers speed.
Yes, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
The Morgan has that, and because that 8-speed is so good, if you just leave it to its own devices, it's and it's got so many gears to choose from. It just sort of it contributes that feeling of seamlessly just moving forward at an increasing speed.
It's like a really it's like a London Underground train coming out of a station with a bit of a lick on, I am always surprised by how quick they can accelerate, especially like 0 to 40. I was in the London Underground the other week and I was like, wow, this is way quicker than I was expecting. And you hear it step through some gears as such. They're not gears, but I guess voltage or amperage changes.
I think it's that thing of it's uninterrupted gathering of pace.
Yeah.
It's, you know, and that ZF box is so good at just changing very smoothly. And because it's only working in relatively small increments because it's got 8 gears, you don't ever get the sense of it, so it's not like it just dunk up the box. It's really smoothly.
That car will be quick, really quick.
It is quick. No, it is. It really is quick. The old one
was very quick.
In a delightful and easygoing way. Someone at Morgan told me that as part of the engine supply deal with BMW, Morgan gets to use BMW test facilities to, you know, get the cars set up, do their own programming, and I suppose all the homologation things. And whenever they go down to BMW's test track in the south of France, or I think they have a place in Spain as well, apparently they get loads of BMW engineers queuing up to have a go in Morgan's, because they just absolutely love how their engines feel in lightweight, small roadsters. And BMW doesn't, you know,
I guess quirky.
Light.
Yeah, it reminds you that you can put an engine in various different cars and it just suddenly feels like a totally different beast, and because it is a different package. And it's a reminder that lightness is the king, really, not just brute power and all that.
That's it. Yeah, it's funny because the Morgan doesn't feel, or the engine in the Morgan doesn't feel brutish. It's very smooth, just feels strong. Yeah. And about right as well. You're never craving more power, but you're enjoying what you've got. You're not wishing, you don't think it's overpowered.
Yeah.
The way that it's put together as well feels really good. And everybody that asked about it, you sort of have to go, inevitably they go, how much is it? And you have to go, well, basic, it's 102 grand. And they all go, ooh. The only people who didn't were the chaps at Retro Power.
Yeah.
Who know a thing or two about hand making things to a beautiful level of quality and finish.
Yeah.
And I went to see them when I had the Morgan, and they poked around it and they were really impressed with the way it was made. And when I told them the price, they were like, well, actually, you know, they didn't suck air in. They almost thought it was quite reasonable because they could tell how much work has to go into that.
I completely agree, given that now you don't get a lot of car for 100 grand. There's not a lot of special cars, really, really special cars for 100 grand, which seems daft, but this is like you just said, it's a hand-built artisan car.
Yeah,
That's what it is.
But the finish feels, interior, I love the interior, very simple design, but very tasteful, very nicely done. It's nice to look at, but it also just all feels really well put together. And the exterior is, I think, just absolutely terrific looking. You know, it's recognisably a Morgan, but there is a sort of modernity to it in the detailing and things. When we did our live show at the factory, they've got an Aeromax in their little sort of museum bit, and it looks incredibly crude and clunky in the way that the body is sculpted compared to the Supersport, because actually, you know, the Aeromax is basically Charles Morgan drawing on the back of an envelope, I think. Yeah. And the Supersport, they've got a proper design department now, and you can tell it's just been finessed. It is a really, really nice bit of design, and I cannot think of another car that I've driven, possibly ever, that gets so much positive attention. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It actually, I had to drive up to North Wales to do the Gareth Jones on Speed 20th anniversary show when I had the car. And the journey took at least half an hour longer because I stopped twice, and both times I got into a conversation with somebody who really, really wanted to find out more about it. It's just that kind of car. If you're driving it, you've got the roof down, people shout nice things at you.
Well, that makes it
stopped. They come over. Yeah, no, it's that thing. There's not a single person that didn't like it. And it feels like you just get unsolicited compliments wherever you go. And like, I genuinely saw a little boy like jump up and down and point with excitement, like something out of an advert. It's unbelievable. And so I've just written my Evo column about this. It's like 102 grand basic, and then you want some options on it. It's like, you know, you can have a sort of fruitier exhaust and things like that. And so you could end up spending 120, 130.
I'd want some airbrushing on the sides of a misty dawn scene of the Malvern Hills.
Okay.
But I'd want somebody stood on the top of that hill, raising a hunting horn to their lips. But you can only see that if you look very carefully. So that's like the little Easter egg there.
Okay, yeah.
That's what I want. And then it would have a name. So every Morgan that gets ordered, even if you didn't want to call your Morgan a name, they make you give it a name.
Right.
And it's a bit like a porn name. They go, right, what was your first pet? Right, what was your mum's maiden name? And then that's like... That's the name of this Morgan, and they'll airbrush it onto the boot lid.
Oh, like a canal boat.
Exactly. Yeah. Less porn name, more canal boat. Let's go down that road. Yeah. So just like that.
Yeah. The one I borrowed was this very zingy, sort of coppery, orangey colour, which really suited it and really got attention. And again, lots of the people that I ended up speaking to while I had that car really liked the colour. So I think I'd be tempted to have it in that, but you can get whatever you want. But I realised, so 102 basic, but then obviously it's going to be like 120 with some nice options. Is sort of, that's 911 Carrera. Mm-hmm. A 911 Carrera is a more competent all-round sports car and probably a more practical car because you can get kids in the back seat. And the Morgan's got a boot for the first time.
It does.
And I got a backpack in there for a weekend away, and that was okay. But obviously 911's got that big well under the front. But a 911 doesn't get you into conversations with enthusiastic strangers. It doesn't get people shouting "nice car, mate" at you. It's a 911. It is a nice car, but no one really cares.
It's also got a bit too big.
The Morgan's is actually weirdly, it's quite narrow still.
Yeah, and I like that about
which
it.
is nice. They said about this car that they wanted it to be a second car, where traditionally Morgans are third, fourth or fifth cars. You know, you've got a collection and this slots in somewhere for summer days. They'd like it to be more usable, and it is. I did loads of miles. I did 800 miles in it, and it's comfortable. You can do that. It's noisy, that's the only thing. At speed on the motorway with the roof up, it's noisier than my Defender.
Is it?
The solution is to put the roof down and just enjoy being blown around, and then you don't care. And when you get slowed down in a traffic jam, like a truck driver will lean out and go, "I love that car." So, it's that kind of thing.
Do you know what I think?
It's a happy car.
I think the two-car package for eternal smiles and general motoring positive remarks, it'd probably be the Renault 5, because the Renault 5 gets the same response from a lot of people. You get lots of people, like I've said before, doing the whole, listen, I'm not really into electric cars, but long pause.
Yeah.
I actually really like these and I think that I'm going to get one, or my wife really wants one and we've already got, two cars, so I think this will work. And so if you had a Morgan Supersport and then ordered a Renault 5, both in happy, bright colours, you might end up having the most jolly new automotive experience of your life.
I think so. And you realise when you drive a car like that, how much it actually probably contributes to your general sort of well-being and sense of happiness, because you're bringing happiness to others. And in a weird sort of way, that matters more than finer nuances of on-limit handling.
Well, it's a bit like smiling at people. Smiling at people makes people smile back at you most of the time. It's not guaranteed, obviously.
No,
but it's infectious.
But yeah.
It's infectious.
Yes, absolutely. No, I agree. So that's it. The Morgan it's like going around smiling at people in a friendly sort of unthreatening way, because it seems to bring joy to the world. So for that alone, in fact, it is a decent car. That's the thing. It is nice to drive. It's comfortable. I did a load of miles in it and sort of loved it more by the end than I did at the beginning, which is always a good sign.
That is brilliant.
It didn't start to piss me off. So, no, I got rather attached to it, in fact. And that's just partly because I like the fact that it seems to bring joy.
Something I forgot to mention a few weeks back was the sad passing of Mr Tamiya, Mr S Tamiya.
Yes.
I didn't put anything on social media or anything. I think I just was sad in silence, really, because Mr Tamiya died on the 18th of July, I think it was, at the age of 90. So he lived to a good age. And I think he was working up until he died. So he didn't really retire. Yeah, so he let other members of his family take over doing more major roles, because it's still a family business, Tamiya. And but he was always involved, always involved. And he was appointed the president of the plastic model company in 1977. And I think, I might be wrong, I think that's the year he bought a new 911 and then totally dismantled it, so they could measure it and make a model of it, and then couldn't work out how to put it back together, and then had to phone Tokyo Porsche and went, can you just go and have a look at my Porsche, please? And there was that story, because I met him, I was really lucky, I met him in 2009, and interviewed him for about an hour and a half. I've got an audio file somewhere with that conversation. And this was for a magazine. But he was such a passionate, lovely guy. And I think I speak for quite a lot of people who say that the legacy he has left is... It was the gateway drug into cars and machines for a lot of people, either as a little plastic scale model or a radio control model. And to this day, me as a middle-aged man, my dad as an older guy, and my son who's 13, and many people I get to meet doing the job that we do. Have been heavily influenced by Tamiya, and so I just want to say thank you to Tamiya for being just one of those businesses, one of those brands that just continues to inspire people. And it's just, I don't know why, it's a bit like the moped conversation we had on stage at PistonHeads annual service. There's something still aspirational, even if you own real cars and you have like some actual money, you still go, oh, I'd really like to build a little kit of a I don't know, Honda S600 or this or that, and you just go, yeah, you could just buy it. Oh yeah, I could just buy it. I could think I can afford that. That's £100. Okay, and but I love that. And every Christmas I try to build something, and it's and it is, talking of like well-being. There is something about it that's a bit like that. It's sort of it's the tabletop modelling equivalent to sort of going and gardening, getting your fingers in the soil. Something very good about it. So I've this week, I haven't had a chance to do it. I'll be charging my lozenge-shaped 7.2 volt battery packs and going out for a blast in an RC car. I think his Christian name was Shinsaku, but he was lovely, Mr S. Rest in peace, and a salute to all Tamiya aficionados out there on that side of things.
Wise words, mate. Thank you for that. I was going to ask you, I'll change the subject a bit, but since you mentioned it, have you recovered from PistonHeads annual service yet?
No, I'm still incredibly lethargic. Although, because it was a great event, and because it's a one-dayer, it's a packed one-dayer, isn't it? And
really was, but
the weather was
holy mustard. The range of cars on display, and we didn't ever really talk about, like, as in you and me didn't talk off mic about that Alfa Tipo 33 Stradale that was just sort of casually there near our stand and our cars.
Oh my gosh.
Which is that recreation one that's got, I think, a Ferrari V8 in it and a 6-speed manual box, and it just looks absolutely beautiful. I mean, that's one of my favourite, if not my favourite looking car of all time.
Well, I'm with you, and I think Gordon Murray would probably be inclined to agree with you. What annoyed me is that one of the questions that we had in the Q&A when we were doing the live show was, if you could take one of the cars that you see around you and drive it every day and look after it for 3 years, what would it be? And you know, when you get asked a question and you go blank, I went a bit blank, if I'm completely honest.
I did too.
And then afterwards, I walked. I had to pop to the loo, and on the way back from the toilets, I went, "Oh my gosh, there's that Aston Martin Zagato, you know, the shooting brake. I bloody love that car. I would have had that. Why didn't I tell him that What a complete wand.
Yes. Well, likewise, who's it made by? The PPW is the company that's doing those Tipo 33 recreations. The weird thing, again, I'm going to sound like an absolute sleeve saying this, but I thought it's quite cheap because it's about £540,000 plus the VAT.
Who are you, Harry Metcalf? What's going on?
Yeah, well,
you
no,
just
but
said £500,000 seems like good value.
No, because everything's £1 million now.
Yeah,
surely every supercar. And I just saw what's that thing that was announced just last week? It's Garagisti. Have you seen this? Garagisti GP1.
Garagisti.
And it's a nice looking car. It has a whiff of AI about it in as much as it looks sort of like lots of other cars mashed together, kind of Lamborghini-ish wheels and various other details seem to be from other things. But it's the shtick is it's analog in inverted commas, as in it's got a naturally aspirated V12 which they're making themselves and a manual box. But it's like 2.5 million plus the VAT. And, well, of course it is, because, if they're developing their own engine, that's expensive. And, all Gordon Murray stuff is well into the millions, and understandably so. So to have, if it's as good as it looks, this recreation of the best looking car ever with a more modern engine, but still a manual box, and a beautifully done interior by the looks of it, for... what's that? So £550,000, say, plus that is
plus the dreaded, mate. Plus the dreaded.
Plus the dreaded. You're going to have to let's just round it up, because you're going to want some options. It's £700,000. It's like, I know that's a lot of money, but in the general scheme of things, it's cheaper than whatever Garagisti thing, or a Koenigsegg, or that what's that thing we saw, the new Zenvo we saw at Goodwood. That's into the seven figures, isn't it? So, and I think I would have this Alfa recreation over all of them, just because it's so beautiful.
I think there's a lot to be said for that. A lot to be said. I didn't get close enough to see it because we were talking to lots of people, and I'm a bit annoyed. But maybe you're right. £500,000 doesn't seem that bad. I mean, those. There wasn't one that I saw at PistonHeads, but it's made me think about that. The Lancia Stratos recreations.
Oh yeah,
and those are beautifully made, better than the original. Not difficult to do, but. Really, really beautiful made, and I think you could throw everything at it and one of those, and they're still under 100. I want to say they're under 100. And again, a car that you could genuinely drive the wheels off and enjoy because it's small. And I don't think anyone's going to look at that and go, "That's shit." I just don't think they are. Whereas, according to Autocar rustling papers, because we're doing a really car-y podcast today, guys. The new Lamborghini Demerara Sugar. That's that hybrid thing. That's £260,000, and I'm sure it's a very good car. Okay, it's got nearly 1,000 horsepower and 3 electric motors. It's a twin turbo V8. It does 213 miles an hour, but it's a mass-produced car, and it will be. They're going to make a shitload of them, and therefore. The people that chase that sort of car want exclusivity, and they've immediately not going to have it, because these Ferraris and Lambos that used to be in our youth, where they used to make, 1,000 of them over 5 years, how many of those are they going to make a month? 1,000?
Well, this is it, isn't it? Because the Gallardo quite quickly became the most produced Lamborghini ever, and then I think the Huracan overtook that from memory, and now the Urus has overtaken both. But so they churn them out. It's easily they'll make 10,000 of those. So
therefore,
it's a lot, isn't it?
It is a lot, I think. So therefore, I think what I'm trying to say is, when you see one, the theatre of seeing one of those cars out in the wild is not quite as heighted as it would have been back in the day. Or if you were to see a car like the two cars we've just mentioned, that the Alfa Tipo 33 recreation and the Stratos recreation and those sorts of things.
Yes.
I'm just waiting for someone to do a recreation of the Panther 6, so I can just...
It'll happen.
Do you think so?
No, because if it'll happen, it's because you've done it. That's what I was going to say. That it'll happen because you'll do it, because you'll become an eccentric billionaire.
There's a lot of people that listen to this podcast, thank goodness, who are intelligent and connected. Guys, connected. And if we could work out where the moulds are and work out a costing of making a Panther 6 or 3 again, and you could put, instead of putting that Cadillac V8 in it, let's just keep it simple, put an LS in it, a crate LS, readily available. Is this going to be really, really awful, or is this actually going to be a thing? Because I'm serious, I dream about that car. Because there's enough of a whiff of Lady Penelope about it. Let's not be rude. You know what I mean? Enough of a whiff about Thunderbird Fab 1 about it that ticks that box for me. And the fact that it has just such mad theatre. And you could put it on those sort of Corvette C4 Magimix style alloy wheels, which I think look amazing. And I don't know, Rich, I just want one. Am I mad?
No, I mean, you realise, of course, we've mentioned them already once in this show, but Retro Power could make you one. It's just that you know, obviously they'd have to spend quite a lot of time on it. It would cost you quite a lot of money, but you know, one day. I just looked this up. There's an official announcement here from Lamborghini from 2019 that at that point they're announcing they built 14,022 Huracans, thereby matching the Gallardo total production run.
Wow.
So 14,022 Gallardos were made over 10 years. Okay. In just 5 years, they made the same number of Huracans. And in fact, by 2022, I think they had made 20,000 Huracans, and it was still in production at that point. So, yeah, a lot of Huracans out there. I assume they'll want the Demerara Sugar to follow that. I read my sometime colleague Richard Meaden in Evo reviewing the new hybrid Sugar, and I think his general vibe was that it felt a bit less exciting than you'd hope.
Right.
Considering that it's got a V8 that revs to 10,000, you'd think it'd be pretty sort of tingly, but it doesn't sound like it. It sounds like it's a bit sort of, I think he's sort of suggesting it felt a bit more like an R8. And of course there was supposed to be an R8 sister. It's been Audi decided not to bother this time around. So I wonder if some of the DNA rubbed off. That's
a surprise to me, and I'm sure there's reasons. Unless I'm missing a link here, Audi are going into Formula One, right?
Yeah.
Right, so if... you remember I don't think we talked about it while we were recording. We talked about it when you and I were just muttering on the way to the toilet trying to look for a coffee. And we were saying, like, back in the old days... companies, brands would compete in a motorsport to directly sell a product, and it doesn't really happen anymore so much. There's not as much of a direct sell. Like, hey, I don't know. Let's just put this out there. Hey, we're Peugeot, and we're going to rally the 205, and then you can go and buy the 205, if that's or the T16, let's say. Whereas now, there's not a lot of that going on. But if Audi, say, go into Formula One, and you can't buy a lightweight supercar thing, Audi, what's it all about?
Well, I think it's this sort of more holistic approach to marketing, isn't it? Like the way that Coca-Cola constantly advertises. And it's weird because you go, everybody's heard of Coca-Cola. Why are you bothering? You spend a fortune just reminding us you exist. But that's sort of it, isn't it? It's just so that you're there forever in people's consciousness. And I think it's probably the same with, say, Audi and F1. They just want you to keep going, Audi, Audi, Audi. So then finally when you go, oh, right, I need a new car. I need a small hatchback. What shall I get? Oh, I'll get an Audi. What do they make? Oh, there's an A1 and A2.
Hang on. I thought the Coca-Cola Holidays Are Coming advert, I thought they were bankrolled by dentists, like a conglomerate of dentists.
Yes, who want the work. They probably are. I always think that about America and the absolute grot they put in a lot of their food, that it's some kind of terrible conspiracy with the healthcare companies over there to make sure you get ill at some point from a poor diet. But that may be a conspiracy theory too far. I don't know. I wanted to read out an email talking as we were about annual service from a listener called Steve, because he sent us an email afterwards entitled Apologies, but I wanted to apologise back to him because he said I just want to take this opportunity to say sorry. It's been playing on my mind ever since your live performance at Bicester Motion. There you both were on stage in full confusing flow with the bewildered crowd in the palm of your hand, along with my son and I. My son, only 21, is heavily into cars but not a podcast listener and had absolutely no idea what the hell you guys were going on about.
And won't be listening again.
It sounds like it. Steve says, not wanting to appear rude, I didn't want to just walk off with him to go and look at the mass of cars scattered around the site, in case one of you caught my eye. However, as a regular listener, I thought, OK, I can listen to the podcast at a later date, so let's sneak off. Just as I started to sidestep away from the crowd, I thought Richard caught my shifty gaze and he looked slightly disappointed. I really felt guilty about walking away while you're in full flow, but my son was getting itchy feet. This was in no way a reflection of your performance, as I'm a fan of the podcast. I fully appreciate how difficult it must be to entertain a crowd of people from such a mixed background, not knowing the style of your show. So please accept my apology. Make me feel better about myself, please. Well, Steve, that's absolutely fine. There's no need to apologise. I wanted to apologise because I feel like I did catch someone's eye. In fact, it was two people, and it probably was Steve and his son, because this all sort of seems familiar. And I hope I didn't look disappointed. My disappointment was because I was like, uh-oh. Finally, someone has decided to leave during the show. Once they go, that's it. The exodus will start because everyone else will go, oh, you can leave. Brilliant. And they'll all go, which was my big fear, that we just sort of lose the entire crowd. So I wasn't personally disappointed with you, Steve. I was more disappointed at what I thought was the inevitable happening of the whole audience just about to bugger off. Thankfully, it didn't happen, but I'm sure people were thinking it.
Well, we just didn't know the audience, did we? I mean, we didn't. Normally, when we do a live event, people pay to come to our live event, and so we know that they actually want to. Whereas we were embedded within the within the orbit of this show at Bicester Motion, the PistonHeads show. So we just weren't sure whether people just went, well, there's two like weirdos on stage with a BMW M5 behind one of them and a Peugeot 106 behind the other one, and I don't know, one of them's got a small, what looks like an ammunition case that he produced a very creepy mask from. And if I was in the audience, I probably wouldn't watch that or listen. I'm just saying.
Not when there was so much else to look at that was all so amazing and nice that, I'd have gone elsewhere.
You could have looked at the Tipo 33 thing.
Fortunately, many people there were more patient. So, I want to say another big thank you to the PistonHeads for having us there and for putting on such a great show. It was genuinely amazing to see so many things of such a range on display, including hello to the chaps I talked to, Metro people. There were Metro people there, and we had a good chat. And one of them, I'm not going to say his name actually, but one of them it turns out to be a guy that I'd heard about from another Metro person by email, who, again, I'm not going to say his name.
This sounds great.
We Metro people are a secretive bunch, but one of these guys is the legendary holder of many parts, who may be able to help if you can't get a bit for a Metro that you're having.
Oh, he has the key to the
condition, for example.
Key to the kingdom, does he?
Yeah, he is. Because one of the things actually that happened at annual service was a lot of people sidled over and went, "How's the Metro?" So just to reiterate, the Metro is fine. It is up at the Den in Hinckley, sister place to Retro Power that we've mentioned already, and they have done a thorough assessment of what is needed to make it as good as it can be to be usable on the road. So it's had its suspension spheres regassed properly, and they're going back on the car. The starter motor is away being rebuilt at the moment because the guys at the Den said if we order a new starter motor that'll fit, it'll be rubbish, because they often are these days. The new built ones are just no good quality wise, so it's better to have the existing one rebuilt by a guy they know who is brilliant at that. And then they're going to start working through it, hoses and things like that have gone a bit brittle, and the fuel system. And so they've already said, because I said, I think I've got a lead on someone who's got some bits, and they went, yeah, we might need that, because they've looked into what's off the shelf and what's not. But I've now made actual in-person contact with the man of many parts. Hello, sir, you know who you are. And hopefully that'll help with the process of getting the Metro up together and on the road.
Well, we've had I'm looking forward to driving your Metro, actually, Rich. I really am.
Oh, we're going to. Can we say this as well, that we're going to make a film about it, aren't we? At some point,
we're going to, because such is the popularity, and I think it deserves it, because it's been really cool to see that video has had over 1 million views, and I would have never in a month of Sundays predicted that people cared enough about a classic Metro, albeit the flagship turbo model. But it fills me with glee. I even had a guy who I've been trying to feature his car collection for a long time, but he's never quite ready. Paul, you know who you are, and he WhatsApped me immediately and went, "That Metro, I want to buy it. How can I make this possible?" And I had to break the crippling news to him that it was sold to you, and he went, "Damn, okay, give my details to Richard. If he changes his mind, I want it in my collection."
Someone else has, via a third party, has made me an offer on it as well. Quite a chunky offer. I mean, if I wanted to make a fast buck, that would have been a way to do it. But I'm not selling. I bought the car because I want it and I want to make it nice and use it. But I know someone else who's apparently a man of significant means, but had a Metro as his first car, just went, "Tell that guy who's bought that Metro, I'll give him." And it was quite a big number. But
did he say, "I'll swap my Tipo 33. I've also got just a fairly quirky looking Aston Martin with a bread back on it. You can have that as well"?
No. The funny thing was that I got this message from, it was actually Callum, who runs Retro Power, who we keep mentioning this episode for some reason, but it was Callum who messaged me, and he went, "One of my clients wants to buy your turbo off you." And I was about to write back to Callum. This is no word of a lie. I was just about to type into my phone, "I'm sorry, it's not for sale. I didn't buy it," to flip it. And then as a joke to add, "unless, of course, an immaculate Maestro Turbo comes along." And before I could type that, another mate, totally separately, sent me a link to an immaculate Maestro Turbo for sale. It was the spookiest thing. And I looked at it and went, "Actually, that's not even true. I still want my Metro Turbo over a Maestro Turbo."
Oh my gosh.
Apparently there was a restored Maestro Turbo at annual service.
Oh, really?
It was meant to be really tidy. Yes, my Metro friends told me about it, but it was out in the other bit that we didn't get to because we were too busy chatting in the main area. So I didn't get to see that. If we go back to annual service next year and it's the same setup, I really, really want to go for a longer walk just to have a look at stuff, because we didn't really get the chance this year, did we?
I want to go for a long walk as well. That's what I'd like. I think what I'll do is I'll get some monstrous BO on the go. And then
to sort of ward people off.
Yeah, monstrous BO, and then I'll wipe like mayonnaise all over my face, and put like a Crocodile Dundee hat on, and people will just be like, "I don't know who that person is, but they stink. I'm not going near them." And I'll just walk around and admire the cars, get some pictures. I took about 4 pictures.
I know.
It's a shame, really.
I didn't. But
luckily, other people
pictures, and I felt that was a bit, it's a bit rubbish. I did mention this in our live show from annual service, but I wanted to give another shout out, first of all, to Steve from Gion. Hi, Steve, because he's a listener. I sort of alluded to this. There's a whole backstory to my beat being detailed by Jodie Clark down at Cornwall Car Care, which is that Steve's a long-time listener to the show. When I bought my Panda, he messaged and went, "Would you be interested in getting the Panda detailed? Because we have official partner studios around where you are, and we really love to show people that any car can benefit from, having a full detailing. It's not just supercars. The Panda would be a brilliant example." And he said, "In fact, we've got this idea. What we might do is we might get a Ferrari in one bay and the Panda in the other, and sort of do them in parallel, and we'll film it, and it'll sort of make the point. It's like a whole range of cars." And I was like, that sounds great. Arranged a date for this all to happen, and then the Panda broke down and it couldn't happen. And so Steve very patiently went, well, you get the Panther fixed and we'll make another date. I did that. So it's like, okay, we're all set. Yeah. So it's going to be in like, it was weeks in advance. So we got plenty of run up at this. Like, okay, cool. Looking forward to it. The week it was supposed to happen, the Panther broke down again.
Oh, my word.
Steve is a very patient man, and he went, look, these things happen. Let's try and get this sorted one more time. And he booked it in, different date, weeks in advance, all good. Is the Panther okay? Yeah, Panther's good. Good. And then that week it broke down again. And it was so embarrassing. I had to say to the guys, I was like, look, I can get it over to you somehow if you're happy with it not running. And they were like, we kind of like the cars to be running so we can move them in and out of the bays and things. So it's a no from us.
I mean, it's ridiculous. I can't believe
it was so embarrassing. It was ridiculously embarrassing. That bloody car just showing me up. So it was sort of unfinished business. And bless him with the beats. Steve was like, should we give this another go? Because I got a guy. He's one of our certified Geon detailing specialists. But he's in Cornwall. If you can get the beat down to Cornwall Car Care, Jody will do a bang-up job. There's things he can do with a machine polisher that defy reason. And lo, it came to pass. And for anyone who saw my car at Bicester last week, you can see it's like it's a shame he didn't do half of it so you could see what it was like before, because it was a good 10-footer, that car. When you got up close, you saw how swirly it was and how it had paint in places and things like that. And one of the things he's done, Beats are supposed to have the stickers on the rear wings behind the front doors that say Beat and then Midship Amusement underneath.
Midship Amusement.
It's so good. And because my car had paint, those stickers had disappeared, been peeled off. I got some new stickers, but I was putting off putting them on because I knew it was going away to be made nice, but also because I was like, I'll cock this up and get a bubble in them or something. So bless him, I asked Jody if he'd stick them on once he'd polished the car, and he's done it, and it's the finishing touch. I'm so happy that it's got Midship Amusement written on it again. And the other thing, because Beats is supposed to have a black screen surround, and it's a decal, and over time they go a bit manky and start peeling away, which is what had happened on mine. So the previous owner, he told me him and his son spent an entire afternoon peeling it all off because it looked so cack, but unfortunately it looked pretty manky still, because you've got all bits of gumminess and all around, and it was body coloured, which it shouldn't be. So it's one of the things, while it was down in Cornwall, they stuck some black PPF all around the screen, and it looks factory again, which has made me really happy as well. So I just want to say massive shout out to Jody at Cornwall Car Care for making my Beat look absolutely amazing, and cheers to Steve at Geon for facilitating that. I'm very, very happy with it.
I'm pleased that you're pleased. There were two things I wanted to mention. One of them is I just, before we started recording, dropped the Eagle off to have its tracking done.
Oh, yes.
You could say I've dropped it off for some tracking work. So I think that's exactly what's going to happen. So by the end of today, the steering wheel will be straight. It will stop in a straight line. You will be able to drive along the motorway and let go of the steering wheel, and it will be straight. Bloody love driving the Eagle. Now it's got new wishbones, new track rods, new brakes. It's actually, I know it sounds a bit daft, but it's quite peppy. It's quite peppy.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to say was we had a letter a few weeks back from a Patreon, and I want to say, as always, thanks to every Patreon who supports this channel, because it means an awful lot. We don't know why you do it. We honestly don't. But thank you. From Noel Huggett, who's a long-time listener.
Oh, yeah. Hello, Noel.
He said, hi, SSGs. Just subjected my hearing bones to the latest podcast. I was delighted to hear Jonny refer to literally to be fair guy. I thought I was the only one who knew someone that said that. I have a current pupil, Noel's a driving instructor, who I'm teaching, who constantly uses the phrase, and always totally out of context. He doesn't seem to realise he's saying it so often. In the space of an hour's driving lesson, I tallied up a total of 32 to be fairs. That's a lot. By extension, it reminded me of a Canadian comedy series on a streaming channel called Letterkenny, and they addressed the usage of the to be fair phrase.
Yes.
Yes,
a few people have mentioned this.
Right, good for a giggle, he said, if you've never heard of it.
You can watch one of their to be fair scenes I think it seems like it might be a running gag, but there's a whole scene where they're just doing To Be Fair, like a montage of To Be Fairs. It's on YouTube.
Yeah.
I'll put a link for our patrons. But yes, a few people have said To Be Fair is a Letterkenny thing, which I thought it seems I should check out this whole series if it's on some platform somewhere.
How many people aren't fair?
I know. To be unfair would be a strange
I'd quite like
thing.
to start employing that.
I went into the tyre place to try and get a new tyre, but they haven't got any in stock, and I think as a result the whole place should be burned to the ground, to be unfair.
You idiot.
I don't know.
You're such a flute. You slide whistle.
Well, anyway, we should probably bring this to a close, but before we do, as ever, got three things I wanted to share with you. The first is that Jonny is engaged in an interesting new solo project to buy jewellery, melt it down, and then use it to make a life-size shiny statue of the former lead singer of Marillion, under the working title Goldfish. If that's not to your taste, then there is, of course, the Late Break Show.
Oh, I didn't even see that coming. I felt so stupid.
Good. What's going on the Late Break Show at the moment?
Can't believe you're still thinking of them.
We're so near the end, I'm sure.
Okay, I think the next video on the Late Break Show is a really cool Saab barn find. Haven't done a Saab before, and it's a 70s Saab, and a genuine one lady owner example, and I was absolutely astounded at the survivor quality, I think the Americans refer to it as the survivor quality of this example of this mark. And the weather was out, it was a genuine barn find in a real barn, and also it was right next to a collection of stationary engines, which I will speak no more of, because we know what that involves. Dirtiness, filth.
Speaking of which, I this very morning sent an email to someone about the next stage in our plans for our Saab.
Oh, Saab.
And hello to Steve and his wife, who were at annual service and came over to say hello. The people who gave us the Smith & Stiff Saab. But yeah, hopefully some things will happen to that soon.
We'll talk more about it soon, I think, won't we?
And of course, time for service. We need to get that sorted out, but then we're also going to do some more things with it, so it'll all be cool. Second thing I wanted to say is I keep mentioning that I'm writing for a new magazine called Copacetic, and we've had a few people going, say that again, please, because it's not entirely clear what I'm saying. So it's called Copacetic. Issue 2 should be out any time now, if it's not already, in which I have written a whole thing about the Nissan GTR R35 that's just left us after 100 years of production. And should I just spell it out? It's COPACETIC, Copacetic magazine. You can order it online, or you can find it in branches of Smiths and other newsagents. But Dan, the SSG who edits Copacetic and set it up, he has just wanted to chuck in that they are having their first in-person meeting on Friday, September the 5th at Caffeine and Machine, The Bowl, the one in Bedfordshire. I can't make that, sadly, because it's my wedding anniversary weekend. But you have, or are interested in, tastefully modified cars, September the 5th at Caffeine and Machine. The Bowl, Copacetic will be having a get-together.
The Bowl. And I'll leave you with the fact that I realised the other day, when I'm driving the Eagle back from Bicester, that the fuel gauge doesn't just show full, half full, etc., etc. It shows literage, which is very Germanic, and I take great pride in it. So, full tank in the Eagle, it says 70 litres. And obviously, and I don't know whether that was common, or whether or not it was just that era of General Motors. I don't know.
Interesting.
I like it, though.
About that. It's sort of like when the S-Class went to a percentage fuel gauge, I guess maybe because they were confident enough in the accuracy of the measure. I don't know. All right, well, that's our third fact then. The 90s Vauxhall Senator had a fuel gauge that read in litres. It's better than the fact that I had. And that's it for this one. We'll be back on Friday with an Ottersot answering your questions and a regular show on Monday. Until then, goodbye.
Thanks, bye.
So you've enjoyed this podcast. but you've had a thought. Is there a way here today that you could show support? Well, you could join our Patreon, what wonders that it brings. Early shows and extra notes on that side of things. You could buy our merchandise, we've mugs and hats but still no ties. One day we will make those pies, but in the meantime, guys, hey guys, like and subscribe and maybe leave a nice review. Like and subscribe, we know you know just what to do. Like and subscribe, we don't want to take the piss. Like and subscribe, but we were told to ask for this. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe.
God, that was Kari. There's going to be complaints.